Hi there and welcome to Beauty Talk. My name is Linda, and if you didn't know me already, I love everything about skincare, makeup and beauty. And in today's video, I wanted to share with you 3 new sunscreens as of 2023, budget friendly. So I'm going to be showing you each one of these. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the importance of using sunscreen every single day. And I'm also going to be telling you a little bit about my experience and what I like best of each one of these products. So if you are interested in knowing what is my experience using these new SPFs, please keep on watching. But before, I want to ask you, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That means a lot to me. I know there's still a lot of people that watch my videos that are not subscribed. So if you would subscribe to my channel, that would mean a lot to me. It's going to help my channel continue to grow and for the community to also continue to grow. Don't forget to also follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. I also share a little bit of my personal life over there if you're interested in knowing me a little better. And I think that's about it. Let's get into the video. About the products. I wanted to talk about the importance of using sunscreen. I think a lot of people now are familiar with the importance of using sunscreen. And, you know, we are becoming a little bit more skin savvy and we're all trying to, want to take the best care of our skin. However, I'm just gonna, go over the importance of using sunscreen in case you didn't know or in case you just want to refresh your memory. So we have the sun and daylight, which are extremely important for us as human beings. The daylight lets us know that we need to be awake, although some people like to sleep when it's daylight. And the sun also helps to synthesize vitamin D, which is very necessary for our health. However, the UV rays that are emitted or transmitted, from the daylight and from the sun, they're very harmful to our skin, which can lead to skin cancer. So they are the principal factors that cause skin cancer. But not only, it also leads to premature aging when we are exposed to the UV rays, whether it is sunny or not, there is still UV rays. And the way I perceive this is that I like how Dr. Dre here over on YouTube explains is that the skin is basically our largest organ. It is actually our largest organ in the body, and its function is extremely important. It's supposed to be here to protect our internal organs and so that our skin stays nice and moisturized so it can work properly. And for me, taking care of my skin and using sunscreen and anti-aging products is not just about aesthetics, but it is also about the skin to be able to function properly. If your skin is dehydrated, if it's burned, if the barrier is broken, your skin is not able to function as it should. That's why it's important to take care of our skin beyond aesthetic reasons, of course. As you take care of your skin, the side effect is going to be a good one, that your skin is going to age slower and it's going to have less of that environmental damage. I was talking about the UV rays, and in case you didn't know, the UV rays are basically 2. So there's first the UVA rays, and A you can remember as it stands for aging rays. Those are the ones that are capable of penetrating through the clouds and even through our windows. And these are the ones that kind of like accumulate in our skin over years. And they don't show up in your 20s, but they actually end up showing up, when you're 30 and 40 and so on, that you start having these dark spots and wrinkles and all that, because it kind of like accumulates throughout the years. It accumulates in our skin. And then we have the UVB rays, which B stands for burning, which are clearly the ones you feel when it's sunny, and the ones that burn us. And actually, when you burn your skin, when you go to the beach and you get a tan, you're actually damaging your skin. It's like a lesion to the skin when you get tanned. And these ones are of course, they're harmful. And it's said, or at least what I've seen dermatologists say, is that Even if you've had about 2 to 3 sunburns in your life, this increases your chances of developing a skin cancer. Okay, now I briefly wanted to touch on the types of sunscreens. So there are basically mineral sunscreens, and then there are chemical sunscreens or organic sunscreens. I'm just going to stick with the two words mineral and chemical, because some are, in Spanish, they have like 2 or 3 different names to refer to mineral, and so on for chemical. So I just want to not have any confusion, because if you know me, I do also videos in Spanish, and having all these words just can be quite confusing. So I'm going to keep it to mineral and chemical sunscreens. So the mineral sunscreens are made up of 2 main filters, which are the titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. I think I'm saying that right. And then the chemical sunscreens are made of a whole long list of different kind of filters, which are kind of designed by man, basically. But the bottom line is that both are chemicals. It's just a way to kind of differentiate them, because zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, they're both chemicals as well, but they are just the ones that are usually used for mineral sunscreens. I'm not going to go very in detail about the different kinds of filters for chemical, because there's so many, and I think the most important thing here is that we're actually using sunscreen, and that they are evolving, and each day we have better and better filters that help protect us against all the UV rays, and that's, for me, what matters the most for you to understand. The other thing I want you to know about the importance of sunscreens is when you apply them. You want to make sure you are applying, they say, 1/2 to 1/4 teaspoon in your whole face and ears and neck, because you want to make sure you're applying the right amount, because you want to achieve the SPF factor that's stated on the label. If you apply any less than that, you're not achieving the SPF factor that's stated on the packaging. There is this tendency of people now, this trend that people are using the 2 fingers, with the sunscreen. I don't really use that too much. I mean, I do use the 2 fingers, but I actually like to layer my sunscreen, as you probably will see in the clips further on. I do 2 fingers, I spread it well, let it absorb, and then I apply another 2 fingers. And this is actually a really good technique to ensure that you are creating even coverage in your face, and there's no little gaps where the sun can actually, you can get exposed to the UV rays. So that's a little tip on my behalf. And another thing I want to say, and this is something that is said, all dermatologists and all skincare experts will tell you, is that which is the best sunscreen? There's not necessarily one best sunscreen out there. There's tons out. The most important thing is that you choose a sunscreen that works well for you. And if it works well for you, you're going to be more likely to use it every single day, because we need to be using sunscreen every single day, even though it rains, even though it is not sunny, and even though it is snowing. We need to be using sunscreen every single day. As I said, because UVA rays, you don't see them as the sun, but they're still coming through and hitting our skin. That's why it's so important to use sunscreen every single day. The other thing I wanted to note is that, as this video is about budget sunscreens, and I think that's great, because you do not need to be buying really expensive sunscreens. I mean, if you want to, that's absolutely fine. But what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to spend a fortune to find really good sunscreens. And there's so many out there nowadays. And the last thing I wanted to say about the importance of using sunscreen is that if you're trying to have a sort of anti-aging routine, you want to prevent premature aging, the most important step in your skincare routine is actually going to be sunscreen. Forget about everything else. Forget about the retinols and the acids and all those kind of things. Because if you are using those things, but you're not pairing them with sunscreen, you're not doing anything. All the treatments that you might have done, perhaps cleared out your dark spots and whatnot. If you don't use sunscreen, they're just going to come back again. So that's why it's extremely important to use sunscreen. Now, before I show you the products, I just want to quickly tell you that I am affiliated to Boots. Boots is a store here in the UK, if you live here in the UK. So if you are interested in purchasing any of the products, I'm going to have direct links down in the description box so that you can check the products out. You obviously do not have any obligations to use my links. However, if you do, you will be supporting my channel, and that would mean a lot to me so that I can keep on testing out new products and sharing my experience and reviews here with you. The first sunscreen that I wanted to share with you is this one from L'Oreal, and I'm in love with this one. This one is supposed to have a derivative of vitamin C that's going to help you protect against oxidative stress, but it's also going to be great for strengthening your sunscreen. So it's going to work along your sunscreen, just making it a little bit more stronger. It also has vitamin E. It also has vitamin E, glycerin, and hyaluronic acid. And then it says that it has this net lock technology that L'Oreal has developed so that it's ultra light, absorbs really well, and doesn't leave any cast or any greasy residue. And it's also supposed to be highly resistant to water. So I forgot to tell you the full name of this, and this is the L'Oreal Anti-UV Fluid SPF 50+. The next one is from Garnier, and it's called Invisible Serum Super UV SPF 50+. So this is supposed to be, as the name says, an invisible serum. It's also supposed to be developed for the delicate skin of the face, and one of the main features that it has is that it has ceramides, and the ceramides are there to kind of help strengthen your skin's natural protective barrier, especially because the UV rays are capable of damaging our skin's barrier. So that's why it has that. It also has glycerin and hyaluronic acid as well. And the ceramides are not only there to help restore the depleted ceramides that you might have because of the damage of the UV rays, but also to help strengthen your skin barrier. And then we have this one from BondI, which is called Daily Face SPF 50+. And this is a tinted sunscreen fluid. And this is supposed to be a moisturizing tinted fluid, as I mentioned, and it's ultra light. It has a little bit of a tint, and it's a mixture of chemical and mineral sunscreen. Now I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the highlights, or at least the highlights from my view, the things that I think are worth noting from each of these sunscreens. And the first one from L'Oreal, I think is, spoiler alert, it's my favorite, but I love all of these three, and I've been using them interchangeably and enjoying them very, very much. And what I love about this one from L'Oreal is that it already has an antioxidant, and you can use it as your moisturizer if you want to. If you, for instance, live in a very hot climate and you have very oily skin, you can just use this instead of moisturizer, and it already has your antioxidant. But also it is highly resistant to water, so you can take it with you on holiday. So it is, for me, I think, out of the three, that has the most rounded formula. It has, it can help with many things, and because of the vitamin C that it has, it also is going to help you fight dark spots, the development of dark spots because of the UV rays. So I think this one is really great. It's also very, very lightweight. It doesn't leave a greasy residue at all, and it goes very well underneath makeup. Now, in terms of the one from Garnier, this one, I find that although it is supposed to be an invisible serum, I do find that it acts a lot more like a moisturizer. It is a little bit more, it feels a little bit more richer, a little bit more emollient. So it doesn't leave my face greasy at all, but it does leave a little bit more of a glow and a little bit more of a tacky sensation, but it's a tiny bit. You can barely feel it. But it feels very nice overall when you use this one. And again, this one, it still feels lightweight, and it goes really well under makeup. It doesn't peel, under the makeup or together with my other skincare products. And now the one from BondI, I really like the tint. I think the tint is really nice. What I like about it is that it makes it a lot better for very sensitive skin, because it has a little bit of those mineral sunscreens, and I forgot to mention this before, but mineral sunscreens are often advised for people that have extremely sensitive skin and babies, just because they're a little bit better in that sense. However, I think that chemical sunscreens nowadays, they're made in such an amazing way that, you know, they're even great for people who have very sensitive skin. And I know that a lot of people who have sensitive skin use chemical sunscreens with no problem at all. So this one from BondI Sans, you know, they say that this brand is actually Australian, and they say that Australian sunscreens are one of the best because the UV rays there tend to be more intense, and the population there are generally more predisposed to developing skin cancer. So the population in Australia are a little bit more rigorous when it comes to using sunscreen. And therefore, they say that the sunscreens made in Australia are really good. So they're very good. And I have to say, I agree. I really like this one. I like how light it is. I think this one feels the lightest of all. And it has a tint. The tint looks really good on me, especially if I have self-tan. It kind of like sinks into my skin. But I think if I don't have self-tan, you know, it might leave like a hint of like this little color, but it's not something that really bothers me too much. I don't know how it will show up on somebody that has darker skin than me, but I must say it just feels really good, and it actually does feel hydrating. Although when I looked at the ingredient list, it didn't seem to have any glycerin or hyaluronic acid. It probably has some other ingredients that are hydrating enough, but overall I definitely love this one. And as I said, I've been reaching for all of these interchangeably. I have very, very much enjoyed them. So I would say that if you have a little bit more of drier skin, this one, you're probably gonna like this one a little bit more. And this one, if you have oily skin, you're gonna love it a little better. And if you want to kind of like, you know, not have to use so many products in your skincare routine, I think this one is a little bit more of a well-rounded formula that's gonna tackle several things at once. And if you have very sensitive skin, but kind of like you don't want to wear something very heavy, I think this one is also great. However, let me just say that if you live in the US, bear in mind that I think this sunscreen is available there, but the formula is probably different because there are different regulations in terms of ingredients, especially filters like UV filters in the US, that, you know, the same ones that we use in Europe are still not approved or not used in the US. And I think the formula in general can be different. And I've actually heard another YouTuber, one of my favorite YouTubers, which is Abby Young, and she mentioned that she tried this sunscreen and she had a completely different experience from me. So bear that in mind if you live in the US. In terms of this one from the Garnier, this one, I don't think you even have this one in the US, so I'm sorry if you would wanted to try that one. But if you live here in Europe, you know, you got it everywhere. You got it in drug stores, but you also have it in the supermarkets. It's widely available. This one from BondI Sans, you probably do have it there in the US. I don't know, I think you might have it because I have seen some of the SPFs from BondI Sans being talked about in the US. However, the formula again could be different, so bear that in mind. In terms of costs, the one from Lore'al would be the most expensive one. Here in England, this one goes for £20 on average. However, you can always find it on sale somewhere, and I've purchased it for £10, which is half the price, and that makes it amazing. In terms of the one from Garnier, this one is cheaper, but bear in mind that this is actually 30 mils. This one's 50 and this one's 30 mils. So I think it goes for £12.50, more or less. So, you know, it is cheaper, but it also has less. But you can also get it again on sale for like £8 or £9, if I'm not mistaken. And this would be the cheapest one, the one from BondI Sans. I think it was about £8 or something, and then I purchased it on sale for like £6, which is ridiculously cheap. I think, you know, I think it's amazing price for a sunscreen. And for me, it's important to have these sunscreens, you know, be very accessible, because the reality is that skincare is not just, like I said in the beginning, it's not aesthetics. It's not, you know, just to look pretty, but it's also to protect the functionality of our skin so that it can function properly, so it can be healthy. And That's why for me, skincare needs to be accessible. And having sunscreens that are accessible and that perform as great as these is just amazing. So don't forget that you have direct links to these products that I have. You can find them all in Boots as well as other places, and I'll have a direct link for you in the description box, so don't forget to check that out. So let me know if you are thinking of purchasing any of these products, or if you've already tried them, let me know what are your thoughts. And if you stayed all the way till the end of this video, I want you to know that I thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao! That was a bit weird.